Could somebody tell me what in the hell's going on or where all the patriots went? Because here it is 2018 and we have Trump and Republicans in charge and they want to talk about gun control, which doesn't make sense to me because I thought Trump said shortly after taking office that the last president spent 8 years attacking the Second Amendment and that stops now. Well, apparently not, because they want to talk gun control. And it doesn't make sense to me because I understand that the Florida school shooting is very tragic. It's a horrific thing to deal with. But in 2013, we had Obama as president, and we had Democrats in control of the Senate who openly hate the Second Amendment. And at the end of 2012, Sandy Hook had occurred, where much younger, innocent children were murdered. And back then, gun control went nowhere. Republicans were not willing to compromise. So what has changed? Responsible gun owners are still not to blame for the actions of a lunatic. Gun control does not stop violent criminals or mentally deranged people from harming people or committing mass murder. And gun-free zones still do not work. Yet you have Trump and other Republicans saying things like this.
But today, a surprise. Speaking to U.S. state governors, Trump seemed to suggest a pushback against the NRA.
You guys, half of you are so afraid of the NRA. There's nothing to be afraid of. And you know what? If they're not with you, we have to fight them every once in a while. That's okay.
Hinting that after that shooting in Florida, Trump wants action on gun laws no matter what.
Bump stocks, we're writing that out. I'm writing that out myself. I don't care if Congress does it or not. I'm writing it out myself, okay?
Then, of course, you had Marco Rubio talking about supporting a magazine man.
And I'm glad you asked that question because I traditionally have not supported looking at magazine clip size. And after this and some of the details I've learned about it, I'm reconsidering that position, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because while it may not prevent an attack, it may save lives in an attack.
And he goes on kissing their ass and telling them, good job, keep up the work you're doing. And I don't understand why he's doing that, because those people are going to be on the opposite side of the political spectrum as he is, which he's not really on a political spectrum. He's a typical politician willing to throw anybody under the bus, including the people who supported him. But here he is kissing their ass for some reason. These kids, and it's like a scene, if you watch the whole CNN town hall, it's like a scene from the movie Children of the Corn. A bunch of unruly kids with no respect. They're interrupting people, booing and interrupting Dana Loesch from the NRA, shouting people down, going wild in support of gun control. And when Marco Rubio, when he was not compromising on another issue, talked about how certain gun control bills and assault weapons ban would ban the most common weapons out there, they all clap and go crazy. It really was like a scene from Children of the Corn, with these crazed little brats wanting our rights, hungry for our rights. And you can say what I am saying is cold-hearted, but it's not. There are high school students out there who support gun control. These kids are being used as pawns and manipulated. And for the ones who are, I feel bad for them. But a lot of them are already on the road to becoming far left activists, or their parents are and have set them up for that road. Yet some girl on there with her head shaved and looks like she just left a Nazi Holocaust camp, like she's some kind of Holocaust survivor they just pulled out of one of the concentration camps. So a lot of them are already far left anti-gunners to begin with. And I feel sorry for those parents who did lose their children. But that doesn't justify them or the students that went to that school coming on here and demanding my rights. I don't see them standing up and demanding people's rights every time their friends are killed in a car accident, or demanding that we ban alcohol every time their friends are killed in a car accident involving alcohol or overdosing on alcohol. I don't see that. So yeah, I don't got to sit here and tiptoe around their feelings when they're coming after my rights, when they're coming after your rights. So what's the difference between now and then in 2013? Well, I'll show you. gun owners in 2013 didn't react so well to politicians talking about gun control, the media trying to force gun control down our throats, or presidents talking about enacting gun control via executive order. And here's some examples of that.
January 2013, that Vice President Biden is asking the president to bypass Congress and use executive privilege, executive order to ban assault rifles, to impose stricter gun control. Fuck that. I'm telling you that if that happens, it's going to spark a civil war, and I'll be glad to fire the first shot. I'm not putting up with it. You shouldn't put up with it. And I need all you patriots to start thinking about what you're going to do. Load your damn mags, make sure your rifle's clean, pack a backpack with some food in it, and get ready to fight. I'm not fucking putting up with this. I am not letting my country be ruled by a dictator. I'm not letting anybody take my guns. If it goes 1 inch further, I have drawn my line in the sand. Not one more inch.
The tyrants did it. Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. Doesn't matter how many lemmings you get out there on the street begging for them to have their guns taken. We will not relinquish them. Do you understand?
All right, so regardless of whether or not you like Alex Jones or James Yeager, or whether or not you thought they were the best advocates of the Second Amendment, or they used the best words, or their demeanor was the best, I'm sure there's someone out there you like. There's countless examples of people getting up and defending the Second Amendment in 2013. My point is that the general demeanor and response of gun owners was something similar to that in regards to the attitude. They were mad, they were angry, and they were not going to take it. They were not going to put up with it, and it was not acceptable. Yet here we are in 2018, and everybody's going back to sleep because we can trust Trump, right? So what happened? What happened to not one more inch? What happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. Like I said in my last video, or one of my previous videos, the NRA showed weakness. When they caved on bump stocks after the Vegas shooting, they showed weakness. And as I told you in my previous video, it's like a rabid dog. You can't just let them bite you once and expect them to go away satisfied. No, once they taste blood, they're going to keep going and keep going for more until they get it all. And the NRA showing weakness made Republicans feel comfortable showing weakness and willing to compromise on gun control. And I get it. Bump stocks suck, but it's not just about bump stocks. It's about the principle behind it. One, the president doesn't have the authority to just legislate gun control. Two, it's what that vague executive order can lead to, a ban on competition triggers and other things. And lastly, how is that going to help our argument to repeal the Hughes Amendment or repeal the NFA when we're saying that we don't need bump stocks because they replicate full auto fire? And again, it's not just bump stocks. You have Trump talking about wanting to raise the age to buy a rifle from 18 to 21. That's bullshit. You can vote at 18. You can join the military at 18. You're forced to sign up for the draft at 18. And hell, you can drive a car at 16. And more people die in car crashes than by firearms or the use of firearms. And like that kid that asked that Marco Rubio question, he wanted to mention that he's joining the army. Well, one, you ain't made it through boot camp or even made it to boot camp yet, so I don't know why you felt the need to include that information. It wasn't pertinent to your question at all about banning magazines. And, you know, I can't speak for everybody, but I know I wasn't in the Army. I was in the Marine Corps. But from the guys I knew in the Marine Corps, and I know a lot of guys who are in the Army, they're not going to want to serve next to someone like that. Most of us military veterans and people who are still active duty value freedom and liberty. We don't have a problem with firearms, and we're not scared about how many rounds a magazine might hold. If I was grieving somebody, I would be at home and I would be sad about it. I wouldn't be at a town hall trying to angrily push the government to take away somebody else's rights who had nothing to do with it. So I got news for you, kid. You might not like being in the Army too much. when you're sitting there acting like that. But for all you Trumpkins out there, I told you so. I told you so. And I'm sure this video and everything else won't be enough. You know, if all the pictures circulating of Trump with Hillary and Bill Clinton on multiple occasions buddying up with him wasn't enough. If him admitting in his book that he supported gun control, to include an assault weapons ban, wasn't enough. If him lying about supporting universal health care, even after admitting on camera he supported universal health care, wasn't enough. And if him saying that he was going to prosecute Hillary Clinton if he's elected, and then actually getting elected and saying that he is not going to prosecute Hillary Clinton because they're good people and he doesn't want to hurt them, was not enough, then nothing's going to do it for you. You're going to continue defending Trump and making excuses for him, or making the stupid statement, well, at least he's better than Hillary. That's like saying, well, at least somebody stabbed me with a knife instead of shot me. At least they stabbed me in the leg instead of in the heart, you know. I mean, yeah, I guess that's kind of a silver lining, but I don't even know that he would be better than Hillary. Because as I pointed out under Obama, when someone who is openly anti-gun, when your enemy's open about coming at you, you get more defensive and you defend your rights, and then they're not successful. But when your enemy betrays you and acts like he's your buddy, acts like he's your pal, only to stab you in the back the second you let your guard down and take a break, that's a lot more dangerous, because you let your guard down. Your guard's up when you know who your enemy is. That's why under Obama, gun control went nowhere. Yet here we are with a very real possibility of gun control going somewhere, because everyone's got their head up their ass. So what, we could have had someone like Rand Paul or Ted Cruz, but no, y'all had to have Trump. So at this point, what do we need to do? Well, for one, y'all need to wake up. If you want to keep your gun rights, if you don't want to give any more inches that you claimed you weren't going to give before. And that's going to include only supporting candidates who truly support the Second Amendment. And if that means trying to primary Trump out in 2020, if that means having to vote third party, so be it. If that means having to primary your state legislators or your congressmen or your senators, so be it. But at a minimum, you need to be in contact with them, telling them it is unacceptable to support gun control. And you need to raise the hell that you did in 2013. I still am. I've still been calling. I've still been writing. And if I had a bump stock, I wouldn't be getting rid of it. But I don't have one because I don't like them. Because they suck. The only ones I've ever shot have jammed every couple rounds. So again, it's time to wake up and get mad and not tolerate this shit. And I'm skeptical of trusting the NRA anymore. They want to make excuses and throw bump stocks under the bus. Who knows what else they're going to do with Trump. So I'm not telling you to cancel your NRA membership, but I would strongly consider joining Gun Owners of America and becoming a member there, on top of being an NRA member. And if you're not an NRA member and only want to join one, join Gun Owners of America. They don't compromise. And I know that people thought maybe they could take a little bit of a break. Hell, I figured I'd give Trump a chance after he actually won. But here he is doing exactly what I thought he'd do, based on his past behavior. So we need to stay active and we need to stay on guard and not accept one more inch. Not one more inch. I know it's a tough fight, but as the quote that's often attributed to Thomas Jefferson says, or states, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. How bad do you want freedom and liberty?